Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and guys, thank you so much for all the support and how far this channel has come. We're past the 5K mark, and hopefully we can get to 10K soon and keep growing this channel on something big. Now, today I want to thank Gamakay, give a big thanks to Gamakay because they sent me out their new 8K collaboration board, the Hall Effect board with NaughShark and Gamakay, and we're gonna have to check this out. This is supposed to be a really budget Hall Effect board, and there's a very special surprise at the end, so stay tuned all this to the end of the video because I got a really big surprise there. So please make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get straight into the unboxing. So starting off with the unboxing of the N68 from Gamakay and NaughShark. Thank you so much for Gamakay for sending me this out. So this, as you can see, is a very budget box. Right? The packaging isn't anything special. You're getting a very basic cable. You do get this strap as well, kind of like, you know, the one that you get in a Wu-Ting. The build quality of the strap, I'm gonna be honest, isn't like anything nice like the Wu-Ting. You're really looking at something just very basic, but keep that in mind. It's kind of like a lanyard, right? That's the way I can think about it. Is it's really like one of those lanyards you get in like one of those special gift boxes. Now, the plastic quality itself, it's not the best. I'm gonna be honest, it's very cheap feeling, right? Like taking it out. The angles as well, you don't get a really high angle. It's just a very small angle bump that you get. It does feel quite cheap in total. I mean, it does feel super light. Of course, we're gonna have to weigh it, and then we're gonna have to do a sound test. So this thing weighs 550 grams. Now we're going to go into the teardown of this board. So you're going to have to remove all the screws. It kind of works just like how the Wu-Ting works and the M-Chose works, where it's a mounting system where you screw it inside the case itself. So there's a total of 8 screws that need to be removed. And as you can see where I'm taking out all the keycaps, this is what you will have to also remove to be able to get into these screws. So keep this in mind. It's going to be these 8 screws that have to be removed. Now, this is a clip-in stabilizer. So as you can see right there, it is clip-in. It is coming pre-lubed. It's hard for you guys to maybe see, but you do get a pretty decent amount of lube that's actually in there. And in total, this plate as well is an actual steel plate. Now, we're going to take it open and then take a look inside to see what we're getting from this board. Now, as soon as you take it out, one thing I noticed right there was the fact that there's no foam inside the case. So you're actually getting 0 foams, which might be the reason why the sound wasn't so great. Now, removing the cable, I realized that the cable connected to the PCB itself is actually blocked off by a little piece there. So unfortunately, you have to actually remove the cable from the case, or it's going to be really difficult to move. Now, as I said, no foams inside the case itself, and you only get the foam in between the plate and the PCB. And as you can see here, now closer up, hopefully you guys can see that it is actually coming pre-looped with the clip-in stabilizers, which is making a pretty decent sound. So we're going to go into modding the board, but before we do that, I forgot to measure the actual plate and the PCB for you guys. So it's a 1.2 millimeter for both the plate and the PCB. Now to mod this, because there's no foam inside the actual case of the board,
I'm going to use the car sound dampener. Now I'm going to fill the spaces up with this car sound dampener. One thing I love about using this is it's super easy to cut up, super easy to measure up, and then add it into the spaces that I feel like is needed. Anything I don't use, I can use later on in the future. Now I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to do a 2-layer tape mod on the back of the PCB. This is just to help, hopefully, with the sound, and then put it back together. Of course, as you can see here, hopefully this can also help you guys see where all the screws are for those that want to take it apart easier. And then we're going to, of course, do a nice sound test of this modded board.
So now we've done the unboxing, the sound test, and the modifications of this board. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this board isn't one of the ones where I would say sounds really nice. Like there are budget boards out there that I've also lubed the switches and felt that lubing switches actually made it sound pretty good. These ones are not in that situation where just lubing the switches will make it sound a lot better. You're gonna have to do some modifications for sure to make it really a little bit more satisfying. Otherwise, though, if you aren't someone that really cares about that and you just want a budget, Hollow board, definitely pretty good so far. Of course, we're gonna really have to go in depth, take a look at the software, do a little bit of gaming and see what it truly is like to know for sure if this is something that's worth it. And of course, as I said, there's that very special surprise at the end. So keep in tune and let's go straight into looking at that.
So going straight into an actual more in-depth look. Now, this is a 65% board. It was pretty good in terms of just like using it for gaming and such. The build quality of this board is really not so amazing. The plastic build is quite cheap feeling. Like as soon as you take it out of the box, and even when you get the box itself, you're gonna get this mindset that yes, this is a really cheap build. And it's kind of interesting that they put that little gap in between. Usually, when they do that, it's because it's supposed to connect with something. I was kind of wondering what that would be, but as you can see with this whole board, it is pretty decent, right? The fact is, you're getting still a board for a really good price. And of course, we're going to go into the price pretty soon. But this switch as well, to give you guys a little bit of a closer look, is going to be the Otemu magnetic switch. Now, one thing I felt about this Otemu switch was even lubing it didn't really sound that great in this board, especially because there wasn't any foams or anything. It really doesn't sound good. It is box stem though, so there is like no stem wobble pretty much, which is really nice, right? That's a nice feature of the switch is you're not getting stem wobble, which some people are not going to enjoy when they're using it for gaming and such. In terms of typing, it's okay. The switches do feel pretty smooth, especially once you're done lubing them. They definitely feel a lot smoother and a lot better. Stock wise, they actually come like pretty much nothing, which isn't the greatest. And in total, with the switches, I felt like you did get a lot of that like clicking sound, like most Hall effect switches, where the magnet's a little bit hanging down. Now, of course, I want to give you guys like a backlighting test of this switch and this board. So the Gamakay is actually really, really bright, and the coloring is actually really nice as well. I didn't notice any issues with the color schematics of it because, for example, some switches, can affect the backlighting color and how accurate it can be. This one, I didn't have any of those issues, and it was incredibly bright. Like the shine through goes right through the keycaps where the letters are shining up. So as you can actually see all the letters and the numbers and everything. It's not super bright when it goes like dimmer, but as you can see on the max brightness of the the RGB, you are going to see it. So this is really nice. If you are someone who really likes their backlighting to be very, very bright, this is definitely a board to look at because this is super bright and the keycaps have the shine through. The keycaps itself are a little bit on the cheaper side, so keep that in mind though. these keycaps, even though they are shine through, aren't the best keycaps. I'm gonna be honest with you, like even the Wu-Ting, the keycaps have shine through, but I personally didn't really like the keycaps. That's why I always change mine out. This one's kind of the same where the keycaps shine through, but they just don't feel that great. Now let's go into the software. So first, going to the website. This thing is $40, right? So you see the price there, 40 USD. There's a special surprise at the end of this video. Please keep in mind, or please stay and watch through this video to get to that special portion that I was talking about. Now, as you can see here, you have two different kinds of keycap sets. It's going to be the shine through and the non-shine through. You also have a wired version, a wireless version, and you have two colors, the black and the white. Now, this is a 8K, right? 8K gaming board. It's supposed to have 32K scanning rate. Really not horrible when you think about it. Like considering even just the 40 USD price range, is actually pretty impressive. You're getting quite a bit. You get all these extra features, like to get dynamic keystroke, the snap tap, and you're getting rapid trigger at 40 USD. Very impressive, right? Especially when you consider like there's other companies out there that are selling for a lot more higher price or expensive. This is the software. So it's a QMK software that's just a web app. You do get all these different languages, which is really nice to see. And the app itself is actually pretty decent. It is very basic, but you are still getting all the features you need. Like you have the customized keys, so you can change the keys as required and however you're wanting it, which is really nice. Right, not all softwares actually possess this specific feature, and this is something that I brought up in other review videos I've done, where I felt like it just wasn't something that like was there and should be there. For example, the MonsGeek one was a little bit like that, though there was a workaround, which was nice. Now, as you can see here, there is a demo thing to see like how your keystroke is going through. They really shouldn't have put it on a separate thing. Honestly, this is something that I'm going to say is not a great thing because you have to actually go there to look at it. The simulation, the demo of it should actually be toggled like in the same page as your regular Hall effect choice, like choosing settings. That's not something that should be on a separate page that you actually have to go and look at. Now, here you can see the different settings. You have the dynamic keystroke. You also have, the press and click, and you have toggle switch as well as snap key. So these are the different advanced settings that you can set with the keyboard. Now the snap tap, I don't actually have footage of it right now, but I was trying it out and it wasn't really working well. I think it was like with Valorant, I was trying to do it and it just felt like the keys were still pressing anyways instead of like cutting off where I wanted it to be. So that's something just to keep in mind for yourselves. You do get a lot of different coloring for lighting, but you don't actually get like a visual demo of it, which means you just have to look at your keyboard, but would be nice if they actually had it showing on the web app as well. So this is something also to keep in mind for yourselves. I think the flower wave one is actually pretty nice. Now you also get the FN settings. The red ones means those are locked, so you can't actually change them. And then the green ones you actually can change. So these are pretty decently done. You see here, this is my settings for playing Apex. I usually actually test with the super glide tester to be able to see which settings is perfect for super gliding. So this is something you should keep in mind for yourselves as well. Now, in terms of using Keyboard Inspector just to check out the polling rate, we are looking at well, to be fair, when you do this with a board that has a high scan rate, it can come up with really large numbers, like as you can see with this, but it just shows that, yes, you are going to be getting the 8K for this board, which is good. Now, of course, I'm going to show you guys a bit more of an in-game footage. So the first thing we're going to do is go into the firing range of Apex Legends and take a look at this board. You can see on the left-hand corner is going to be the keyboard, and it's going to be me testing out super gliding and see how it's like. Now, I did set this up to be more accurate with super gliding in terms of the super glide trainer, and it works pretty well, though whenever you depends on like how your angle is, right? So something that I noticed for myself personally is that when I try to set it up and then I have it set at a very specific angle that I'm sitting and holding the board, it will be more accurate in certain ways than others, and depending on how I'm sitting, it might actually change that accuracy quite a lot. So this is something just to keep in mind for yourselves as well. It doesn't mean that you have a rapid trigger board that you're going to get it 100% of the time. It's not how it works. It's actually going to be more of like you can get it a pretty good amount of time. I'd say you have a much higher rate of being able to be successful with it than most people with a mechanical board. but that doesn't mean that you will be better than those that are with mechanical boards that have practiced a lot more. It does require practice still to get that timing. Now, the reason I do it with a shotgun here is just when you do it with a shotgun, it does have this special feature where when you do super glide, auto reloads with the gold bolt. So this is something I was just testing, and yeah, I felt like super gliding was possible, but again, I had to probably change the settings a little bit for it. Now, in terms of using this board, in terms of the feel of it, sensitivity wise, it feels really great. I didn't have any issues with it, of course, and honestly, nowadays most gaming keyboards that have Hall effect, they work really well, and you don't really have to worry about being like, oh, this is a really bad board. How does it feel? Or I'm gonna be honest, all of them work well. It just depends on what's most comfortable for you and how you use it and what you're using it for. This is another thing that I really enjoy with Hall effect boards is specifically Apex has a way to cancel out recoil, and it's just by moving really quickly to counteract the animation of recoil. And yeah, with Hall effect boards, it works really well. You just have to do 80-80 super quickly, and it really works for that. Now, I want to show you guys actual in-game play footage. So let me show you guys actual in-game footage of me playing ranked with the Gamakay. Now, I didn't have the hand cam for this one, but I just like to have the game fully playing. Now, in dropping, this is where Hall effect boards kind of come really useful, is you want to be able to pick up guns and items faster than others, and having that quick actuation actually quite helps a lot with it, specifically because you're trying to, pick up things real quick. And of course, it comes down to ping advantage as well, but we can definitely have that advantage with Hall effects. Now, right away, we ran into a team. One thing is using skills as well with Hall effects. There's certain things you have to be careful of. One is Hall effect boards can also make you press keys by accident because the actuation is set maybe too sensitive, and sometimes that sensitivity actually really helps a lot. Like for example, here I need to get out super fast, and I made a mistake trying to push. I was creating up right there, and right there, even my jump. That jump was an accident. I shouldn't have jumped like that. It actually was a bad idea. And here it actually caused me to be able to slow to heal, which then got me killed. Or not killed, but down. And those are the things to keep in mind when you're using a Hall effect board is you really want to make sure that you're doing things where it's not going to affect your game, but you want the advantage. Right? There's always going to be pros and cons for certain things, and that's one of the cons for Hall effect board. But one of the pros right there was I was able to open up with that box super quick and get the things I really needed. Now here is another advantage point, right? Because I'm able to do it really quick and move around super quick with the reaction time, it works well. So that's an advantage that I get compared to say some other people. Now, this specific portion right here, as you can see here, I'm thinking this person was quite new to the game. They just actually walked completely through all of that thermite and my ash cube, which caught them, snared in one spot. So that was quite funny. But yeah, let me just show you guys a little bit more and see what I can give you guys a kind of look at in terms of how this keyboard feels. And what I felt for sure was that it's because of how kind of light the switches felt. It did feel really nice in terms of playing. Like I didn't really have or feel notice of like having finger fatigue or having it feel weird. One thing though is the switches aren't. I've noticed actually they're not super smooth. They do feel a little bit. I wouldn't say like they're not smooth, but it's just I didn't like the feel of the switches fully, say compared to say some other the Hall effect switches that I've tried. For example, like the Astro Link, the Labs T switch, like the cheap, more budget boards usually come with like really budget Hall effect switches, and I feel some of them really aren't as nice in terms of smoothness, and you can definitely feel like the cheapness of it. And I really could feel that a lot when I was playing and with this board. You can even hear it, right? When you guys heard the sound test, it definitely does sound and feel a bit on the cheaper side. But at the end of the day, does that mean that it doesn't work for gaming? No, that's not how it works. It does work well for gaming, and as you can see here, I was actually having a really fun time with it, getting a lot of kills. Now, this is the 4-switch keyboard, that I would compare this with. Now, the reason why I choose these four is because of the price range that they are at. See how the Gamakay is at 40 USD, while the M chose at 44, the Battle 68 was at 45, and the Monsgeek starts at about 55 as well. 60 for the Mons Geek. And when you consider that, right, this is much cheaper, right? It's a much more budget board compared to the others. And you have to really look at the pricing. Even right now at the 40 USD point, it is still cheaper than the others. And in terms of the build quality, I would say this one actually is kind of similar to the Mchos. But one thing to note is the Mchos has better switches. The Otemu switches really are not amazing. I'm gonna be honest, like they really feel cheap. And all of them have a web app, and I would say the Battle 68 is the most basic web app. The Mchos I would say is a better web app than the Ueden. The Monsgeek has its own skinned web app, which was pretty decent, but there was a lot of limitations that I wasn't a big fan of. The Gamakay's QMK is actually pretty good. I would say for a web app that does the bare minimum that it should do, and it also allows for the bare minimum customization that end up more easily to be done, than other skinned apps that are out there that I've seen. And the thing is, like, you have to consider, right? This thing's 40 USD, and with everything considering for this price, like you're really getting quite a bit. And I would say that yeah, the build quality is similar to the Mchos. They're both a little bit on the cheaper side of the build, but well done in terms of what you're needing for your gaming. And if you are looking for something for just pure price range, right? Just pure price, I would say yeah, take a look at the Gamakay. It's definitely something to look at because it's 40 USD, right? And there's a little special surprise that I'm going to show you guys right at the outro.
So overall, well, where do I compare this to, right? We have the Mchos, A60. We also had the Ueden, right? The Battle 68. This is going to be around that budget range, right? We're going to compare the three boards because those three are around the same budget range and in terms of like the build quality and such. Now, in terms of the software, it was pretty good, right? With the QMK, Hall effect software, skin with, of course, like the Gamakay skin. Decent software for sure. I would say out of the three, I would put this one number 2 and the Mchos a little bit higher, or pretty much the same between the two. The Mchos and this one actually had a pretty good software for both boards. In terms of the pricing though, so this is the price I was talking about. Gamakay is offering this board to my viewers with the code in the description for $29.99. For just $30, you can grab this Hall effect board. And they do have a wired version, which is of course more a wireless version, sorry, that is more expensive at around 55 USD. But if you're a gamer and you're using Hall effect, I would always highly suggest using it wired anyways. So take a look at it. I'll have the links in the description with the codes, both on Amazon and on Gamakay's website, for you guys to be able to grab this for just $30. Now, hopefully my video helped you guys, and hopefully the discount will help you guys, especially with who knows how the tariff's going to affect everything in the pricing. And of course, I'll catch you guys next time, and please go check out the other videos I got.